can be on the top floor of the Hilton in downtown San Francisco, look down on the corner of Ellis and Taylor and just see homelessness, drug addiction, food scarcity, isolation. We have people dying alone in their rooms every single day in the Tenderloin, and nobody knows their name. And it can be kind of a dark place, but one of the beautiful things about dark places, it gives you incredible contrast. I had a moment on the corner of Turk and Jones downtown where God totally changed the trajectory of my life. And for the first time in my life, I cry out to God and I say, God, if you're real, if what he said is true, like you took his anger away, take mine away. And man, encountering God is like getting hit by a Mack truck. You don't walk away the same.
Welcome to the INNOVAT Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Ted.
It's a long time coming.
Yeah.
You were part of our community meetup before INNOVAT got involved, before INNOVAT existed.
That's right. Yeah.
Before I got involved.
Yeah.
So, Kent, you're what's your title? You're with YWAM and you're launching your own ministry.
Yeah. I am the Neighbourhood Director with YWAM San Francisco down in the Tenderloin district. And I'm also the founder and one of the directors at Melon SF, another recovery-discipleship ministry here in the city.
Yeah, I got really excited about it a couple months ago when you guys served us that amazing pulled pork.
Yeah, yeah.
And with your homemade barbecue sauce. You want to hear a tragic story?
Yeah.
This is really sad. Like, brace yourself.
I'm ready.
I brought all that home.
Yeah.
And I had gone to great creative lengths to get your original sauce home.
Yeah.
My wife thought it was trash.
Oh, no. Devastating.
So I had all this pulled pork, which was amazing.
Yeah.
The only problem was I had the memory of your sauce.
Devastating.
But our marriage survived.
Well, I'd be happy to make you more sauce, Ted. I can do that anytime.
We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Well, you got to make the pork together.
That's true. I got to make the pork first, so we can do that.
Okay. So, you're on the front lines there.
Yeah.
In the Tenderloin, which is the heart of. Maybe you can share some pictures of the Tenderloin with me, and we'll put them in the post-production. Right now, people can be looking at those pictures.
I can do that. A couple pictures of the neighborhood. I call
one of the toughest zones, San Francisco. And, but also a place of tremendous light and hope.
Yeah, it's a hot take, but I think maybe the most beautiful neighborhood in San Francisco. I think, obviously, the Tenderloin has sort of a bad reputation in the news and in the media. And it can be kind of a dark place, but one of the beautiful things about dark places, it gives you incredible contrast. So you can see a lot of the really beautiful things happening, really obviously. So I've been in San Francisco in the Tenderloin for almost 15 years, and there's no place I'd rather be. Tenderloin, San Francisco.
I love
Amazing.
that. Well, the INNOVAT Podcast is about the intersection of innovation and social impact.
Yeah.
Because the Bay Area is known for innovation.
Yep.
And, I keep saying I got a supercomputer on my wrist. That just not long ago, Dick Tracy, he had a phone on his wrist.
Yeah.
Now that's yesterday's news.
Yeah.
This thing here can hands down, without breaking a sweat, whoop any, the best human chess player.
Yeah.
We've changed the world and that's just one example. We've changed the world with innovation.
Yeah.
We have a $4 trillion company.
Yeah.
NVIDIA.
Yeah.
The California GDP, if we were a nation, we'd be number 4.
Pretty.
There's only 3 nations ahead of us.
Yeah.
But simultaneously, when we've created all this wealth, while we fancy ourselves as being those who care for the poor,
Yeah.
we do very bad at it. We're not very good. We're a leader in human trafficking. We're a leader in homelessness. We're a leader in unequal access to justice, in mass incarceration, in food insecurity.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tragic thing, right? You can be on the top floor of the Hilton in downtown San Francisco, look down on the corner of Ellis and Taylor and just see homelessness, drug addiction, food scarcity, isolation.
But I think if we change our perspective, we can see that that's the next frontier. And if we can combine innovation with our desire to take care of the poor
Yeah.
and actually become good at that and bring those two together and in focus and alignment, we can innovate and solve the world's most important problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I think, all that was to introduce you, because you're one of my heroes. These guys on the front line that are innovating in how you care for people.
Thank you very
You
much.
don't get rewarded by the market. There's no, there's no founder's dream at the end of the tunnel where if you sacrifice and hustle for X number of years, you have a successful exit and,
Yeah.
you're uber wealthy.
Yeah.
But I think your perspective, like what you just said about the Tenderloin, is, the most, to you, it's the most beautiful place in San Francisco.
It sure is. It's fertile soil. And
So let's start with what's your story. So how'd you end up here?
yeah, it's sort of interesting. When I was 16 years old, I was a brand new Christian. I was convinced to come on a mission trip. I'm now 32. This is 16 years ago. Um, I had just become a Christian, and I had a youth pastor at the time. His name's Garrett. He convinced me to come on a trip to San Francisco. I didn't want to come to serve in the Tenderloin with an incredible ministry down there.
What was the ministry?
City Impact.
Wong.
Yeah,
Roger Wong.
Roger Wong.
Yeah, he's the father of Christian Wong.
Father of Christian Wong, Mobilize Love, Go Donate.
Who's been part of I interviewed him. He's been INNOVAT3. He's been on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Incredible. And so I met Christian there. I came when I was 16 years old. Didn't want to be in the Tenderloin. Had no interest in serving the unhoused. But I had a moment on the corner of Turk and Jones downtown where God totally changed the trajectory of my life. I remember praying for a woman who, she asked me to pray for her. She said she'd been wrestling with addiction and really wanted to be free from that and asked me to pray for her. Her name was Regina. And I remember praying for Regina and God just moved in my heart. I remember opening my eyes after praying for her and it's like the whole world looked different. And I knew exactly where I needed to be and what God wanted me to do.
At 16, you just had this clarity that this is...
Yeah. And in hindsight, like what a gift from God, like clarity of vision, clarity of purpose at 16 years old. I went back home, visited twice more, turned 18, and I moved to the Tenderloin right after high school. And I thought, I'll be here for 6 months and I'll go back and go to college and do the good thing. But 6 months turned into now we're just over 14 years now in the Tenderloin. I came back and served a city impact for 5.5 years. Ran the rescue mission there on Turk Street. It's where I met Christian, great friend, incredible man of God, served under him there. And then from there, I worked with Crazy Love running recovery and discipleship homes for another 4 years.
Francis Chen,
yeah. So I was part of their sort of mercy ministries wing, living with guys, sharing bunk beds with guys, coming off the streets, coming out of prison. Terrifying, but wonderful experience. But just living with guys, life on life, one-on-one mentorship, sharing bunk beds, sharing life, sharing everything for about 4 years. I was a director there. And then the last 4 years I've been serving with YWAM in the Tenderloin, sort of helping build this incredible community space called the Ellis Room. Sort of like a front lines catch-all ministry where everyone is welcome, sort of a safe place for people to get out of the chaos and feel normal for a little while. Really focusing on building relationships.
usually called a drop-in center, right?
It's a drop-in center. It's really, we serve coffee, we play pool, I play a lot of dominoes. It's half my job. But really the heart is how do we create a space that facilitates great conversation and invites people into community? And then from the platform of relationship, then inviting people into real life change and heart transformation.
So you said at 16, you had a religious encounter.
Yeah.
Spiritual encounter.
Yeah.
So break that down. So not all of our audience are Christians or are in that world. So break it down. What were you like before that? Were your parents Christian? Were you raised in that or?
Yeah. I mean, you could ask my mom. I was pure hellraiser for a lot of my life, a troublemaker, in and out of the principal's office, getting suspended all the time.
Were you raised in church?
Interestingly, my mom, the church was a real blessing to her, just because it's free childcare, and raised by a single mom, and so she
Do you
dropped.
know your dad, or?
Yeah, I know my dad. My dad's been kind of in and out of my life over the years.
Yeah.
We're working on that right now. I'm planning to go visit him in Virginia next week. But my mom mostly raised us as a single mom.
Where is that?
Up near Portland, Oregon, in Salem. So
Okay.
grew up around there. My mom did the best she could. Incredible woman. But got a lot of help from the local church. And I didn't see it then, but God was sort of sowing seeds in my heart. The real dominant male influences in my life were men of God that came into my life through the church. And that would yield fruit many years later. But caused a lot of problems at the church, kicking holes in the walls, flirting with the girls, trying to get kids to sneak out and smoke weed with me behind the auxiliary gym. But got saved as a teenager.
Weed?
I was a troublemaker. I was
Just doing anything.
pretty much anything I could do to get into trouble. Mostly I was a bit of a clown, so I'd do
Are you an only child?
actually I got a twin sister, and then I got 3 older siblings and an adopted brother, Connor. So
Wow, so you guys are a big family.
big family, yeah.
And she's raising all of them?
So we're pretty spread out. So by the time my older sister was moved out of the house, and she was raising the bottom 4 most of our lives. So yeah.
So, but you were the youngest.
Tied for youngest. I got a twin sister too.
Twin sister.
So she was a real straight-laced rule follower, and I was the exact
So you had, well, yeah, that's how you differentiate.
Yeah,
yourself. Yeah, and then the youngest kid's typical comedian, because
yeah,
I need attention.
yeah, that's right.
You're not going to beat your kids at smart, or your siblings at anything else, especially to be a goofball.
Yeah, especially as a twin, you're desperate for attention, So I was always out and about with very little parental supervision, getting into trouble.
Like, what type of trouble? What was the worst thing you got in?
I'm trying to figure out what would be.
It just was. It's random one.
I will say, when I was I had to be 10. My brother and I, Connor, my younger brother, adopted brother Connor, we were out at
Adopted brother.
Yeah, all right. He's not my biological brother, but he's family. We grew up together, shared a crib as kids, and
Your mother adopted him.
it's one of those complicated relationships. Like we grew up in and out of each other's houses, and his mom was always watching me. My mom was always watching him. So
Okay.
yeah, not actually adopted, but
Oh, okay.
closer than a brother.
Yeah, okay.
But when I was about 10, maybe, we had. This is a fun one. I don't know. What's the statute of limitations on arson? In our neighborhood growing up, there was an old school, and we'd sneak over there and hang out all the time, like an abandoned school. And I'd watched the movie Bug's Life, and we'd learned that you could start fires with a magnifying glass. So we sneak over to the old school one morning, and we're lighting fires. And we'd let it get big, and then we'd stomp it out, let it get a little bigger, and we'd stomp it out. And it grew to the point where we couldn't stomp it out, and so we ran. And it burned up the whole field and part of the exterior wall of this abandoned school, and never told anyone. I remember we're hiding under my bed at the home, and I'm like, I'll kill you, Connor, if you ever tell anyone.
So he's this fire department's out and everything.
Oh yeah, it was on the news. And I didn't tell my mom, I didn't tell anyone until we were teenagers and they had torn down the school and put in nice houses, and I thought, I think we're safe. So
you go to the developer, hey, you get attacked.
You're welcome. Yeah. So mostly just getting into random trouble. And and then when I was
So what happened when you were 16?
when I was 16, I went to I was always going to like church events. My mom would really push us to go to church, wanted us to be around godly people, hoping some of it would rub off on us. But I had gone to a church camp in I think it's Eastern Washington, called Mayfield. And I was really excited to go because there were a lot of pretty Christian girls there. And I thought, oh man, I can corrupt them. And I remember it was the last night at Camp Mayfield. And, at this time, I'm kind of a militant atheist punk rock kid, and trying not to listen at chapel, but they'd make us go. And there's this guy up front, and he's talking about his experience growing up without a present father and trying to ignore him. But he's sharing about how, he grew up without a father, but he found a father in Christ, and how it changed his life. And it took his anger away, right? I was a real angry kid. And he's sharing, and it pissed me off, right? I'm like, I'm out of here. I storm out of the chapel. I start walking into the woods in Washington. And for the first time in my life, I cry out to God. And I say, God, if you're real, if what he said is true, like you took his anger away, take mine away. I don't want to be angry anymore. And man, encountering God is like getting hit by a Mack truck. You don't walk away the same. And in the woods in Washington, God changed my life. For the first time in my life, I wasn't angry.
So you say that prayer, you're upset, you're angry, and he's just pushing your buttons.
Yeah.
Like, don't lie to me, whatever, all that's conflicted. So you lash out at God.
Say, God, if you're real.
What happens? You get hit by a Mack truck.
Yeah.
What's that like? You're like,
I just remember the peace of God fell on me for first.
Like immediately.
And I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I wouldn't be the same, and that the God I was talking to is real.
Wow. So you felt his presence.
And I went home, and I was really confused, because I'm like, okay.
So you you say that prayer. You don't necessarily make any decision. You just say, if you're real, take my anger away, and immediately.
Yeah. And then I walk out. I walk out of the woods, and I'm like, okay, I guess God is real. I'm going to try to live for him.
So you understood the gospel by then or not, or you didn't have a clue? Or
I had heard it. I grew up around Christians. A lot of my great friends were Christians. And was very familiar with the Christianese, right? But I'd say that was the moment that I knew I'd never be the same. And I came out of the forest thinking, okay, I guess I'm gonna try to not cuss on Sundays, right? And then I'll be good. I'm gonna make it to heaven. And then from there, started experiencing conviction, started really trying to understand God's word. And then shortly after, obviously, came to the Tenderloin and began
How long after that?
It was within a year.
Wow.
Right? And came to the Tenderloin. Originally, we were supposed to go on a mission.
So you didn't burn any more schools down after?
No, I still caused a lot of trouble. I still owe the Salem Kaiser Public School District a few $1,000s. But good luck finding me.
Okay.
Unless
you're the Salem, unless you're that school district, you can reach out to them on social media. Yeah. Otherwise, or pay me. But if you're there, no worries.
Yeah. So,
how long before your mother noticed something changed?
I think I'd have to ask her, but I think obviously I went home from that trip, and I was still a hellraiser. I was still figuring life out. Learning what it meant to follow Jesus, still getting into trouble. But I think it was, right, often transformation can happen like that, or it can happen slowly over time.
Yeah, or it's both, we transformed, and then it happens over time.
Yeah. So I think I had this encounter, and then it's been a long, hard journey learning to be like Jesus.
Yeah, I actually had a different perspective on that. The passage of Jesus says, unless a man die to himself daily, take up his cross, and follow me, he can't be my disciple.
Yeah.
And normally when that's preached, it's like, okay, now's the time where I got to hold you accountable. I got to raise the standards. It's like we got the grace, that he died for us. But now this is, and I changed my mind. I'm like, no, that's about grace, man. It's like, wow. So the same power, the same thing that got me out of my mess when I was, for me, it was just before my 19th birthday. It got me out of all the screwed up mess I was in. And, some things just instantaneously changed. Others I had to work on.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's still available today.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow. So now I'm in my 50s and I'm still messed up. Like, wow, that same power is available. Oh, I get to get saved every day.
Yeah.
Like even the repentance, like, oh, I get to repent. I get to change.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember I had a mentor many years ago that described the Christian faith as lifestyle repentance.
Yeah.
Like every day reorienting your heart towards the cross.
Oh, like athletes in action, AAA, Alcoholics Anonymous, it's Christian principles. The founders were
Yeah.
Christians, and it's like understanding that every day you need a power higher than yourself to survive.
Yeah, amen.
And that you're living with this animal nature inside of you every day. You never lose that, but you also have God's nature inside of you. And it's dying to the flesh daily.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, okay. That's where the real magic happens. It's being transformed. I want to be transformed.
Yeah.
I want to be able to overcome my mess. I want to be more disciplined. I want to live according to my higher ideals, not my base instincts. So sweet.
Yeah.
So you've been 14 years in the Tenderloin.
Yep. Moved to the Tenderloin almost exactly 14 years ago. So, and have been doing recovery work on the streets in the Tenderloin, either on the streets in the Tenderloin or living with guys coming off the streets for the last 14 years.
Give me some more of the highlights you shared about early on, just praying for that woman that changed your life. You prayed for her and just God touched you again. Give me some of the highlights. What keeps you going?
Man, I think, right, I'd be lying if I said, like, it's all highlights. You come to the Tenderloin, you start praying for people. It's miracles every day, right? It's
tough, man.
it's tough and it's hard. It's disappointing. It is devastating a lot of the time. But I think I've been really fortunate. When you've been in the Tenderloin for a little longer, um, you start to really see God move. Like I was saying, sometimes transformation happens overnight. Sometimes it happens over a span of 10 years. And so I've been blessed to see God really transform people and like rebuild lives out of really dark places. Um, some of my friends in the Tenderloin I've known since I was 16 years old. I just saw my friend Albert Norman yesterday. Albert, he's a great guy. He still volunteers at City Impact, but I met him when I was 16 years old, and he's got to be in his 60s now. Old Texan black guy from the Marines. And just to watch how God has moved in his life over the last 16 years, it's incredible. He's also a big personality, so every time he sees me, he'll capture whoever's around and tell him that he's known me since I was a baby and he raised me and he's my black daddy. So awesome to see what God's done in his life. I think also one of the most enriching seasons of my life was working with Crazy Love, living with guys, running men's and women's homes for people coming out of the most impossible places, like people that are totally forgotten by the church, people that are like the world would look at them and say, there's no way, they're a waste of resources, don't invest it in this person's transformation. And getting to say, hey, if we don't go, who will, right? You've heard Christian Huang say that. Like how do we as a church, as people of faith, believe that God can transform even the least likely people? In fact, God almost exclusively uses the least likely people in his word. And so like I loved getting to live with guys and walk with them into freedom. I think like I could show you a handful of guys today that are doing incredible, like normal lives, engaged in the church, like loving families. And that's something you don't always get to see it right away when you're doing this kind of work. Like oftentimes people come to a place like the Tenderloin really excited. And I came to the Tenderloin really excited, right? 18 years old, I'm thinking, man, I'm going to go to the Tenderloin. I'm going to preach the gospel. There's going to be revival. People are going to get set free from addiction. It's going to be amazing. And God like says, no, I'm going to put you in a basement stacking boxes. And this homeless guy named Brad's going to be your boss for the first year, right?
Yeah, it's so different than you think, but then it's like it's more beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I think like God has a way of smushing our expectations and then showing us something more beautiful.
Yeah, and he doesn't smush our expectations, say, oh, no, I can't actually do that. It's more like, no, you need to develop a taste. Like the slow transformation that you watch is like, that's the real thing. And it's, you know, the people, and watching their lives transform and watching them. I mean, the scriptures, Bible, we believe everyone is made in God's image.
Yeah.
And as you see that, you see that someone come from just, such brokenness, and then they reveal such glory.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like in the waiting, right? In the hoping, like God's working in me, right? In the disappointment, God's working in me, right? It's not about it's about obedience, not results, right? It's like let me show up every day and love the people, places, and passions
Well,
I've
if you
called me to
focus too
pursue.
much on results, your power, you're unstable.
Yeah.
Okay. You're in the and you're really ultimately a victim. You lose your power, but if you put your focus on what you can do,
Yeah.
I can be faithful. I can repeat this action. I can go out there. Now God's spirit empowers you. You focus on that, and then you see, you leave the results up to him. But the irony out of that is that's where you become invincible, and that's where you become super productive. But
Yeah.
he decides what's the true measure of success. What's the true measure of productivity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like at the end of the day, if the goal is heart transformation, not behavior modification, like only God can do that. Um, and so like remembering there's a lot we can do to help people modify their behavior and access recovery resources. But like I want people to be made new,
Yeah.
right? Um,
And it's not like the behavior alteration is bad. No, that's
not bad at all.
it's like, but how do you do that? How do you sustain that? Like I always use sports metaphors because that's the world I came from. And it's like I couldn't I couldn't sustain, like I was the youngest kid like you.
Yeah.
And I couldn't sustain working hard because that's what you were supposed to do. I couldn't even sustain working hard because that's how you get better at basketball. Although that was a deep motivator for me. That helped. But when I learned to have fun and enjoy the process,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I could sustain.
Yeah.
And that's what then, you know, it's like when you lay down the end result, and
Yeah.
then it's like then you end up like the scripture says, he who loses his life for my sake will find it. He who tries to save his life will lose it, but he who loses it for my sake will find it.
Yeah.
It's like when you lay down that desire and you're no longer focused on the end result,
Yeah.
you're trusting that to your coach or to God above. He rates that. He gives the return. Now you hyper focus, and if you enjoy that process, if you can come in, I'm going to love this person,
Yeah.
and I'm going to love them regardless. And sometimes they might spit in my face,
Yeah.
probably literally,
I've been spit on many times.
and I'm going to love them regardless.
Yeah.
Man, it's like then you have this superpower,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the results are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Like the behavior modification is important, right? It's the how, but it's the heart transformation that's the why. It's like, man, this is why I want to change. This is why I want to grow.
And it's like that's one of the beauties of our faith, is Jesus, God, doesn't just tell us what we need to do.
Yeah.
He gives us the power to become it.
Yeah.
And it's really not focused on what we need to do. It's focused on this. I want to restore your relationship.
Yeah.
And when we restore the relationship, now we'll walk together.
Yeah.
And I'll give you the power to change.
Yep.
Yeah, I know for me, like in prison, and I like your comment on this. It's really the relationships you build when you go from going in there to say, okay, I'm going to go in there and, I went in there because I wanted to play basketball. I enjoy that. And, you have this mindset that I'm going to go in and help these guys,
Yeah.
or give back or somehow minister to them. And When I go in there, it didn't take long where it totally changed. I
Yeah.
realized God's already in here, and I'm building relationships, and these are amazing people,
Yeah.
and they're given to me as much as I'm given to them or more. From my perspective, it seems like I'm getting more.
Yeah.
And it's out of that, now we grow together, the power of community.
Yeah. Amen. I think if you're just pouring out, you're doing it wrong, right? Like, it's really about opening up your life to people. And like, if you'll be blessed in the giving, like you will receive more than you could ever give. You'll learn more than you could ever teach. You'll be more blessed than you could ever be a blessing. That's been my experience. I think yours too. Um, and I think like, right, it has to start with relationship, right? Because especially when you're working with people coming out of really difficult situations, um, you have to build trust. And trust starts with relationship. And I think like from a platform of love and trust and relationship, you can encourage real transformation. Like it's hard to hear from a stranger, like, hey, you got to do better. Hey, you can do better at believing you.
Yeah, it's a pretty mature person who can do that, and the whole point is that the people who need it aren't yet necessarily mature. You got to build a relationship first.
Yeah, but if you're showing up every day and you're loving that person and they know that you are not an opportunist, you don't want anything from them, you want to love them, like it is incredible what you can see and the trust that you can build. And to be fair, like people coming out of broken places have a lot of good reasons to not trust. And so it really is. I tell people all the time, like at the first level, right? It's we're in the trust building business. It's showing up, being consistent, and loving people regardless of whether or not they're interested in what you're selling. Right. And I think that's really what we are trying to do at Melon, right? Is how do we invite people into.
So that's my next question. Tell me, what are you doing? Melon's your new venture that you're launching. Tell me what you're doing at Melon.
Yeah, so I think
I
really
the name Melon too.
it's sort of it's a nerdy thing, but if you're familiar with Lord of the Rings, Melon is the Elvish word for friend. So when they
I love it.
when they approach the mines of Moria, they say, "Speak, friend, and enter." Gandalf says, "Melon," and then the doors open. I think we want to open doors for people. We want to speak, friend, and enter. Right.
Wow. Okay. So is Lord of the Rings big in the Tenderloin? Is it popular there?
I'm trying to make it popular there.
Are you Lord of the Rings?
I really get there. We'll do all night sometimes in the drop-in center. Whenever it's raining in San Francisco, we'll open up the Ellis Room all night just to let folks in out of the rain. So we'll like sometimes watch Lord of the Rings all night while we're hanging out and inviting folks in to get dry.
I love watching the making of.
Yeah,
Some ways I enjoyed those more.
yeah, it's fun, especially it's fun to see how they do it, right?
Yeah. So Melon, so what's I love it. You're an expert in this area. You went down there as a young kid, but you stuck it out. You learned a few things.
Yeah.
Um so what niche are you meeting in the Tenderloin that you don't see there yet?
Yeah, I think right, it's all about relationship. I think if you go down to the Tenderloin today, what you will discover is there are a lot of resources for people to access. There are 10 different places you can go to get clothes. There are a bunch of different places you can go to get help with housing. You can get groceries. You can get 7 free meals a day in the Tenderloin if you walk fast enough. Like it is so often not that the resources aren't available. Um, I think like the one thing, like if I'm looking at the Tenderloin and I say, man, what's the biggest problem that I see? Right, and I've been there 14 years. It's isolation. You have people that have no one. You have 36,000 residents living in low income.
It's populated.
Yeah, it's 1 square mile, 36,000 low income residents living in SROs, single resident occupancies.
Some people don't even come out of their single room.
There are people that don't even, I mean, people that nobody knows their name except for their caseworker, right? I go into the building next door to where I live in the Tenderloin and knock on doors and meet with people. And I won't share his name, but a few months ago I met a man, 90 years old, blind, living on the second floor, right next door to me, in the building next door. And this man hasn't left the floor he lives on in over 10 years. And his only human interaction is the Meals on Wheels people that come and refill his fridge every week. And there are people like him in every building in the Tenderloin. There are people who, and I'll cry if I talk too much about it, right? But we have people dying alone in their rooms every single day in the Tenderloin, and nobody knows their name. And I think especially Christians, especially the church, like that's fertile soil. That's like a place where the church can show up. And so when I talk about isolation in the Tenderloin, there's a Tenderloin you see on the news, and then there's a Tenderloin nobody talks about. People are lonely. People are isolated.
I'd heard of this was. Did you ever know Richard Gazowski? Do you know him? Pastored a Voice of Pentecost church that is, anyways. He had said something. This was a while ago that they did some sort of poll, and the biggest need in San Francisco was loneliness.
Yeah, not surprised. I think everywhere, right? I think that's not just a Tenderloin problem, but it's especially acute in the Tenderloin. Even folks that are out on the street, like addiction, homelessness, mental illness, it's all symptoms of a deeper problem. And a lot of our neighbors in the Tenderloin, a lot of our friends, they don't have anyone, right? They've either burned every bridge in their life or they never had any bridges to begin with. And so I say, like, man, we're in the business of building unburnable bridges, inviting people that are forgotten into family. And that is what Melon is all about. It's like, how do we take people that are forgotten by our city, forgotten by the church, and how do we build a bridge into lasting relationship and community that can transform? And trying to break those cycles of isolation. Because if you can deal with isolation, if you can bring people into community, if they have a support network, they are much more likely to succeed in pursuing things like recovery and mental health and really all of the many things that need to be addressed. Right, you're far more likely to succeed when you have people around you that are championing you, that are loving you.
Absolutely.
So it's really about building networks. And
How do you do that? So you've worked with the best out there,
Yeah.
and now at the Ellis Center and YWAM, amazing organization,
Incredible.
So what piece are you added to the mix? What will Melon do that's not already being done?
Yeah, I think Melon is distinct in a few ways. I think really our focus on right, our focus is not necessarily on addiction and recovery. Our focus is how do we bring people into relationship and community that lasts a lifetime. And tailoring a program
So I love that approach. It's like I see it intuitively, like we didn't think this through, but now you look back and you look at our basketball program inside San Quentin Prison,
yeah,
and it's getting tremendous results. And the results speak for itself. Of the guys who've been part of our basketball program, although we've never done a formal study, hundreds have gotten out, and we can count on one hand the guys who aren't doing well.
yeah,
But it's not like we are the answer to there's lots of resources in San Quentin particularly.
sure.
But what we do intuitively is we build relationships, we build community.
Yeah,
And, community with us, but even more powerful is the peer mentoring that takes place, and the older guys mentoring the youngers in the community,
yeah,
the safe place of the basketball team. And now they take act that now that it's like it restores their soul.
yeah,
And now they're able to access and take full benefit of the resources around them.
yeah. I think, and if you have someone that loves you, and they're pursuing your best interest for your own sake, and they're telling you, hey, this resource is good, I think it'd be good for you. They're far more likely to access it. I've seen guys who are totally unwilling to talk about recovery, talk about getting housed, talk about seeing a therapist, through the power of relationship, then access all of those things.
Yeah.
I have a good friend who's been here at House of Web3 with me many times. When we met 3.5 years ago, he said, don't ever talk to me about that God stuff. Don't ever talk to me about getting housed. Get out of my face. Right. But he'd show up in the Ellis Room because I cooked good barbecue. Right. And he'd say, all right, And then he'd sit on the other end of the room while we led Bible studies, and he'd kind of listen. And then you fast forward a few months, and we're scrubbing showers together in the Ellis Room talking about things that matter.
Yeah.
And fast forward to today, that guy's housed. He's working on his recovery. He is in love with Jesus. He's part of our family.
He's presented here.
Yeah, he's presented here.
Leading others, inspiring others.
Yeah, and like, he's such a part of our family. Like, I cannot imagine him not being a part of our community.
Now, how, so he's part of your family. I imagine he's pretty effective at reaching out to other guys.
And that's one of the incredible things, right? Like, you invest in relationships. They also have relationships, right? So I'm able to engage with Eli. Sorry. You meet people of peace, right? And they are able to reach people that you could never reach. They are able to go to places you could never go and give you access to places where you wouldn't have access. So I think, like, you build relationships, and then those relationships kind of ripple out into your community.
Yes, the power of exponential growth. You start a movement from the inside out, and you project it forward, and it'll hit critical mass, and
Yeah. Yep.
and transform the Tenderloin.
Yeah. I think, like, incredible to see the impact that our neighbors can have on our neighbors. One of the things we say in the community space all the time in the Ellis Room is, man, we don't want to just serve the Tenderloin. We want to serve with the Tenderloin, because we will have a greater impact. Like, that is the reality. People will come into the space that would never come in otherwise, because we're serving with our neighbors, not just serving our neighbors.
Yeah, that's one of the things I saw, through our mutual friend, our mutual hero,
Yeah,
Evan Prosser.
Yeah,
who
what a
was
guy.
YG doing it.
What a guy.
And his vision of seeing a church not for the homeless, but led by the homeless, for the homeless.
Yeah.
And, meeting him and hanging out with him completely changed my perspective. And it's like, the goal is not to get them housed.
Yeah.
The goal is for them to meet Jesus.
Amen.
It's not the American dream. It's,
Yep.
like it's God's dream.
Yeah.
And then to see how extremely effective, this community approach and this movement comes. And if you change your mind and you change your perspective and realize these people aren't throwaways. In fact, quite the opposite. Humans are made in God's image.
Yeah.
They're the most valuable, beautiful thing out there.
Yeah, and I one thing I'll say a lot to our team in the Tenderloin at YWAM and at Melon is, if we believe the Bible is true, right? We believe that every believer has a gift that God has given them to build up the body, right? And so if we exclude our neighbors and brothers and sisters in the Tenderloin, the church is not whole. Like, the church desperately it's true, the Tenderloin desperately needs the church. It really needs Christians to come and be activated and reach people that are isolated. But also the church desperately needs the Tenderloin.
And it needs an indigenous movement. Not a colonial movement.
Right.
A movement that comes in and is grassroots. I mean, that's the power of, you look at Christianity, and whether you agree with it or not, if you study the history, it's the most powerful, and I think you can make a pretty strong case as most impactful people movement.
Yeah.
And, you had, particularly in the first 300 years, I mean, it was longer than that. Like, we have our history wrong, but under intense persecution.
Sure.
But it was like people would have this encounter with this religious encounter, and it would completely radically change their identity.
Yeah.
And you'd have wealthy I'm talking about in the first century, you had uber wealthy in a very divided class, a very divided society, sitting down with slaves who were the poor, the poor, the most outcast. And now they're one in Christ. Those things that Paul say.
Yeah.
It says, there's no longer master or slave, male nor female, Jew nor Greek. This is in a extremely segregated, class-conscious society.
Sure.
And now they have this new identity that an experience is so profound.
Yeah.
That they identify as brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And that was so appealing. It stuck out so much. And you have reports of of this in multiple accounts of like under intense persecution where the Christians were being fed to the lions or about to be burned at the stake. They would do like what Jesus did and what Stephen did. It's recorded in the book of Acts. They would sing hymns
Yeah.
and they would pray and
Yeah.
forgive their persecutors
Yeah.
because they do not know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you have accounts of Roman soldiers throwing down their weapons
Yeah.
to come stand with the Christians or to convert, saying, I want what you have.
Yeah.
I've thrown everything at you and I can't break you.
Yeah.
And I am so afraid. I'm living in fear. I know that I'm doing what I'm doing because they're telling me to do it. And I'm
Yeah.
afraid. You have no fear. I would rather have what you have, even though I'm going to die, than live under the fear I've been living under.
Yeah.
That's my dream, that we'll get back to that. You know, like there's so much corruption, so much mess in what we call Christianity.
It's messy. Yeah.
So Melon's awesome. How can people find you? What do you need? This is a new startup, right?
Yeah. I think what we need is, I mean, first and foremost, we need people to be praying for us. I think this is hard work and it begins and ends in prayer. I think obviously we are fundraising.
People is okay. You're fundraising.
Yeah, we're fundraising like crazy right now.
What are you trying to raise?
So right now, we have a few goals we're trying to hit. I think we're trying to raise a bunch of initial capital just to launch our first recovery home by the end of the year.
Okay. You want to launch a recovery home
Yeah.
in San Francisco in the Tenderloin?
In San Francisco. We're going to start in the Bayview and then migrate to the Tenderloin.
Okay.
I think we've got a space we're looking at right now in partnership with YWAM. Yeah, we're going to lease it from YWAM, I think.
So YWAM owns it.
YWAM owns the property we're going to be leasing.
Okay, great. It's a win-win. So
Yeah.
they'll support Melon, they're supporting YWAM.
That's right. And also like the heart of YWAM and the heart of Melon, it's so inextricably linked.
Yeah. YWAM's brilliant at that. They launch all these other different ministries and everyone collaborates. It's decentralized.
Exactly.
Very Web3.
Yeah, exactly. It's decentralized.
Definitely.
The first decentralized autonomous organization.
I don't know if it's the first, but it was ahead of its time. I mean, I would argue that that's what early Christianity was. It's Jesus intentionally founded it.
Jesus founded it now, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like what's incredible about YWAM is, right, it's one of those third spaces where Melon can engage relationally on the front lines and then seamlessly invite people into a season of formation and then eventually into the family of God for the rest of their lives. I think, so what we're doing in the community center is a huge part of Melon, right? It's like, how do we bring people from forgotten to family? And also I think like, I don't mean to go back, but like what makes Melon different? I think there are a lot of great recovery resources in San Francisco. I ran recovery homes for years. But I think often the problem you run into when running recovery spaces is intake, right? You have this 30-minute intake interview where you have to decide whether or not someone's ready for recovery or a good fit for what you're offering, right? And then sometimes you learn 3 months down the road that they just weren't ready, right? But I think like one of the incredible things about having like a frontline space like the Ellis Room, where we're engaging relationally every day, is we're walking with people on the streets until they're ready for life transformation, and we can invite them into the family when they're ready for that season of formation. I think, and then the struggle for places like YWAM is often you're investing with people that are in really hard places. And then when they're ready for a real change, you have to outsource that, right? You have to outsource recovery, outsource discipleship. And where they don't have the trust banked, they don't have the relationship, they don't understand the precipitating factors of that individual. So what's happening at Melon is sort of like seamlessly working on that handoff, right? Because we are on the streets every day engaging in relationship. And rather than handing that relationship off and hoping for the best, we can say, stay in our community, stay in relationship with us, move in with us, and let's go deeper and then let's start building those bridges to the
You're
church.
going to see down the road, you're going to equip this family, and you're going to place people throughout, and you're going to basically we'll have Melaners, we call them friends, elves, who are holding the hands and basically catalyzing all the resources that are out there. Like, we give lots and lots, we provide lots of resources. We spend a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
But the system's not working. We're creating more homeless
Yeah.
than we're getting out, and there's too many people that are just cycling through the system. And I love I love the fact that you think decentralized, that you're part of a bigger ecosystem, like you're, working with your technologist friends, although you're not a technologist. We're building the Ellis app, which is to help people navigate, just know where the resources are.
Exactly right.
And that's an innovation, because it's very hard to know. I mean, there's lots of resources. It's hard to know how to navigate all of them or even know what's there.
Right.
That's one piece. And then you're bringing this other innovation to say, we've got to help the person. We got to bridge the gaps.
Yeah.
We've got to do, bridge the, the fail points, bridge the gap between outreach and,
that's a huge fail point.
Yeah.
Huge fail point is like, how do we actually get people into the meaningful resources? Right.
Well, I love it. So do you have a website?
Yeah, you can go to Melon SF. MELLON SF.org. 2 L's in Melon.
Okay.
You can also check us out on Instagram. We don't post very much, but
Okay.
or you can just call me. I'm pretty much available.
So, how do they call you?
I guess you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm Kent McCormick.
All right.
But Melon SF is probably
put those in the show notes.
Awesome.
So,
appreciate it.
Great, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining. And if someone's watching this, you can come speak at their church.
Yeah, I'd love
or
to.
the group. You prepare a killer barbecue.
Yeah,
barbecue pork is your specialty.
Yeah, every Friday, 2:00 in the Tenderloin, 357 Ellis Street. Show up and eat with us.
There you go. Yeah, come out if you're from the area. Come out and experience with them. You can also come. You can cater your event and your your dual things. You're starting a catering business.
Right?
Sales. Is it called Melon? What's the catering?
The catering business is TL Smoke Co. So it's we do great premium barbecue in the Bay Area, and
they can cater your event. Amazing food at a very value conscious price point, and you're doing two things. You're getting amazing food, and you're and you're helping their work in the Tenderloin.
And the same barbecue we sell to our lovely customers, we also serve to our neighbors in the Tenderloin every week. So
it's beautiful. And you can also, if you have like a men's group or something, men love barbecue. Have you come barbecue it and share what they're doing, and maybe you can send them to volunteer or help them raise funds. We're going to get around you and help you launch this next vision.
Yeah, and we also host teams in the Tenderloin. So if you got a youth group or a small group, you want to come and serve with us for a week or two.
Excellent.
Would love to hang out with you.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing what happens. It's beautiful. I mean, you maybe thought you were a young man at 16. I look at you now, and you're still young. You're starting out, and everything that you've learned.
Thanks.
You're a beautiful person, and you have an expertise. You know people, and that's very, very important. So
thank you, Ted.
Thank you so much for.
It's an honor to be here,
and thank you for your attention.
Thanks, guys.
All right. God bless you, man.